let's talk about boxing. If you, all right, if you had to give advice for a young fighter coming up, right? What path, because it's like, I think your path, you sign with a promotional company and then you go independent. That's pretty common with a lot of boxers. And then it's like, do you just do one-off deals? We saw Canelo, he did a major deal with the streaming service. Yeah. I don't know if anybody's ever watching these fights though, but he's getting paid regardless.
30 million each.
There's different strategies. Like, what do you think? Like one-off deals, the streaming service way, the long-term partnership with a promoter? Like, what do you think is the best way to go about it?
Well, it's hard for you to say that because, like I said, you know, what part in their career are we talking? Are we talking when you first start, or when you become champion, or when you
like as a champion? Like once you're established already, so now you got leverage, right? You don't have leverage when you first start, so I guess you have to go with a promoter.
It depends on how your name is. Like I said, that takes to where I was saying you can become a champion, but nobody really too much care about who you are. You know, do you got a name that's been marketed? Do you got a name that's been pushed? Because some promoters, they'll keep you on this level where you need them.
On purpose.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they don't want you to reach that. They don't want you to reach too high. So, you know what I mean? They ain't gonna do certain things to push you to be this superstar. Because once you become a superstar, you outgrow the belts. You outgrow the promotional company. Your name speaks for itself. Kind of like Floyd Mayweather, you know, Manny Pacquiao, Oscar De La Hoya. You know, they can do anything in boxing when they was boxing, and they didn't have to have a title. They didn't have to be named champion. Those sanctioning bodies wanted to be a part of them. Like Canelo right now. Canelo don't have to be champion. He's made a name for himself, and he's earned the right to do what he's doing right now, and that's going to get a bag from here, going here, doing business with them, because he's got a name, and everybody know that if Canelo make a fight, then the people in Mexico is going to support him. The people in the United States is going to support him, and it's going to be a big event.
When you're, I mean, now as you're doing this independently, and for people who are not familiar with how boxers make money, because I read something interesting that there was hedge funds that were willing to put up the purse for you in the Spence fight, which is like, okay, it's a lot of money. So like, how do our boxers get the money? It's the purse, it's maybe percentage of the gate, concessions. What are the streams of income?
It depends on. It depends
what you negotiate.
It depends on, you know what I mean, the fighter. See, in my case, you know, I get a percentage of everything that come in. Every penny that come in, I get a percentage of it. You know, if you sign a guarantee, then that's all you get. You know, one thing about the hedge fund that, you know, I'm kind of glad that we didn't, you know, sign that, given that we don't get paid until they make their money back. You know what I mean? So once they make their money back, then they get a percentage of, you know what I mean, everything that comes in. So it kind of take away from the fighters towards, you know what I mean, us betting on ourselves. We just like, all right, whatever come in, it's gonna be us.
So, but if, like at this level, that the marquee guys, like the purse is the guarantee money that they get, win or lose.
Win or lose.
And then if you could get more than that if the pay-per-view numbers come back.
Right. But you know what I mean, some people get like probably like 8%, 9% of a pay-per-view fight. They probably get like, I was getting what, 6, 8% of the gate. You know what I mean? So like I said, your promoter, he's getting all that.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. If you're getting 6%, then there's somebody that's getting the 94%.
Yeah, I was getting 6% of the gate. I was getting 8 to 6% of the pay-per-view shares after it meet like a certain number that it never
hits.
Yeah. So
It puts some crazy.
you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what I mean by when I say boxing is kind of shady.
Yeah.
Well, it ain't kind of shady. It is shady.
So essentially, all right. A kid, 16 years old, shows very promising career ahead of himself. I'm a promoter, right? I come in, I give the kid $500,000. I sign him to an 8-year contract.
Never.
Huh?
Never.
Longer?
No, never. You can't sign nobody for 8 years.
How long?
I hope he
How long can you sign him?
5.
5 years.
5.
All right, so
that's standard.
I sign him for a 5-year contract as soon as he turns pro, and I pay for his training. I pay for a lot of the promotion, but I'm receiving the majority of the money. It's an investment for me because he might not even work out.
Right.
Yeah.
If he does work out, I'm gonna recoup all of that money on the back end.
Times 10.
So but it's really looking at it like if I got 10 fighters, 9 of them probably not gonna work out. So the one fighter that does work out,
But you're gonna get. But the thing is like this. You're not gonna. You've been around boxing long enough
so you
to
can
know,
tell which one.
You know what I mean? What fighters bring to the table and what fighters that you thought was going to be something that they not, because it's how you move them. You know, you got all this money invested in them. You're not about to get him beat. You're not about to put him in there with some crazy opponent.
Yeah.
So you constantly grooming them step by step. And if you don't see what you know what I mean, you want to see in them, then you're going to throw them to the wolves and you're going to have your other fighter knock him off and you still make money. You're going to make as much money as you can with him, you know, while you got him to recoup the money that you invested in him. And then you're going to get him knocked off. And then after that, after you can't use him, you're going to
find the next guy.
You're going to cut him just like that. You're going to say, oh, termination. We don't want you no more. And I find that kind of messed up as well, you know, that a promotional company can say they could terminate your contract like this, you know, but you can't terminate
the promotional
contract like, all right, I don't want you to promote me no more.
Yeah.
So it's always a one-way street.
It's a large percentage. So like even like the networks, so like when Showtime does a fight or HBO does a fight, they're inside of that 94% as well, right? If you're making 6% off to the pay-per-view.
Yeah, you got to understand, like when these networks go to a promotional company, they give a promotional company a budget. And they say, okay, well, here, this is for, you know, this fight, these two guys to fight. Mm-hmm. You know, and you don't know about that. It could be $10 million. It could be $5 million. You know, they give you $1 million, they give you $1.5 million, and they just pocket the rest. Because it ain't like you can say, oh, well, what they put it on the table, or sometimes you don't know.
In terms of sponsorships, we've seen some fighters have deals with athletic companies. I wonder how you approach that, right? Like I've seen, I remember when Roy Jones had the Jordan brand, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. You got a Jordan sneaker. And then, you know, Floyd did the quick thing with Reebok. What's that like for you in terms of athletic brands and sponsorships when it comes to your portfolio?
It's very tough nowadays because a lot of those big marquee brands is going to other sports like football, basketball, and other sports. So when you look at the Jordan brand, Andre Ward was the last one to have a Jordan brand.
Right.
You know, when you look at the Under Armour, Canelo was the last one to have an Under Armour brand. Reebok, Floyd was the last one.
Nike, I think Nike did something with Pacquiao.
Nike did something with Pacquiao, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. You know, so you'll see a lot of people wearing Nike. You'll see a lot of people wearing Adidas, and Adidas give a little money. Everlast give a little money, but not to the level of, you know what I mean, what they was doing back then.
So there's been reports that some fighters like Regis Prograis weren't paid in full after their bouts. Has that ever happened to you?
No, I believe he got his money, but I don't know nothing about that. Okay. I heard about it, but I don't know.
You've never seen that though?
Yeah.
Okay, like a fighter actually fought and then still didn't. It's like that's like going to a club and performing.
Yeah, especially if you got a guarantee, you're supposed to get paid right after the
I
fight.
wouldn't feel comfortable if I owed you money.
You gotta pay a boxer.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not gonna end well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, can we talk about Black Prime?
Yeah, let's go.
So, did you sign for $10 million for that? Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So what happened with that situation? Because that's not even. Is it still around or?
Yeah, it's still around. They
Okay.
still doing fights and all that.
Okay.
You know, they reached out to me. They wanted to do business, and they was looking for the opportunity to step in on a bigger platform, because they was on a little low platform, and they shot me a number, and I was just like, huh? All right, you know. And at that time, I was in negotiations with Arrow last year, and the negotiations was going south. You know, we wasn't really getting anything accomplished. We was just going back and forth. But I wasn't talking with Arrow. I was just talking with his handlers and stuff like that. And I was just like, look, this is what needs to be put on the table for me to fight. And they basically was like, look, take it or leave it. You ain't got nowhere else to go. So at that point in time, I was just like, okay, all right, see y'all in a minute. You know what I mean? And I reached back out to BOK Prime, and it was like, man, we with it. You know, who you want to fight? I'm like, I'll fight anybody. So at the time, we picked the highest rating person available, and that was David Avanesian. He was ranked number 6 in the division. You know, and we got the fight done, and I got paid, and you know, I went back to the drawing board and went back to the table and said, hey, look, you know, is we gonna get this fight lined up, or is we gonna still keep waiting